Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Katie.the.cosmic.sailor, and today we are going to be getting messages from your ancestors. So we're going to start off with messages from your ancestors through water scrying, and then we're going to get into the tarot. This is kind of the outline of what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to look at how your ancestors play a role in your current life, a skill you have from your ancestors, a trait you have from your ancestors, an ancestral lesson that you carry, how you can deepen your connection to your ancestors, and then we're going to get messages from your ancestors from the tarot cards, and then we're going to end with some advice and guidance from your ancestors. So I've actually already recorded all of the groups. We have amazing, beautiful messages in all three piles. But yeah, that's the reading for today. I'm super excited to get into this reading. We have 3 groups to choose from. So obviously you can see the back artwork, and I'll show you the front artwork. So we have 3 groups to choose from. The first deck is the Nicoletta Tarot, and I'm going to be showing you all the 10 of Pentacles for each deck. So this is the 10 of Pentacles in the Nicoletta Tarot. Or we'll leave it face up for you, that way you can see it. Okay, and then we have the Ethereal Visions Tarot for group 2. And this is the 10 of Pentacles. Okay, and then the third group, we have the Animal Tarot deck. And the 10 of Pentacles is the 10 of Autumn in this deck. So that's the groups to choose from today. If you need more time, feel free to pause the video. I will have the timestamps linked in the description box below. And I will see you in your pile. Bye. Hello. If you chose this deck, you are a part of pile number 1. We're going to be looking at messages from your ancestors. So if you didn't watch the intro, be sure to go and watch the intro, and I'll explain the outline. First, we're going to look at messages from the ancestors through water scrying. So we're going to get those messages first, and then we'll get into the tarot. Ancestors of love and light, what would you like to say to pile number 1? So the first thing that I heard was almost this kind of nature-y kind of sound. I feel like your ancestors were very connected to nature. They were very connected to the earth. And the movie Frozen 2 was coming to mind. And how there was those people of the land, I can't remember what they were called, but they were very connected to the elements. I feel like your ancestors were very in tune with the cycles of nature. So I feel like they were very in tune with what each cycle of nature symbolized. So for example, spring was a time of growth, summer was a time of abundance, fall was a time of harvest and abundance, and then winter was a time of release, rest. That's the first thing that came through. I feel like I'm getting this message of the wind. I feel like anytime it's like super windy, I feel like your ancestors are trying to connect with you through the wind. I feel like your ancestors really want you to get out in nature. I feel like they could send you messages through birds, through butterflies, maybe through the way the light shines through trees. is also the message that's coming through. I feel like your ancestors were very in touch with just nature in general, and I'm really getting the message sacred geometry in nature. Maybe looking into that. I feel like there could be messages from that, or there could be, I'm almost getting like activation codes through sacred geometry. I feel like your ancestors, they keep saying sacred geometry. They really want you to look into sacred geometry. I feel like you could be an artist or a creative, or maybe you're a photographer or you like to take pictures of nature. I feel like this comes from your ancestors. And I'm keeping drawn to the 4 elements, so fire, earth, air, and water. And I'm seeing kind of like a whale swimming. So I feel like listening to the song of whales, I feel like your ancestors may have did this quite frequently. I feel like your ancestors, like I just keep getting this like sing-songy type energy when it comes to nature. I feel like you could also be very connected to music. I feel like you get this from your ancestors as well. And I feel like that message a minute ago with the wind, I feel like you could maybe hear like songs or patterns in the wind, or this is something that your ancestors did as well. And just listening to the songs of nature is what they're saying. I feel like this could be very healing for you. I feel like this is something that they did that was very grounding for them. I'm also getting the message, a specific time period is coming through, a time period where there was a lot of turbulence, where there was a lot of war. I feel like grounding in nature was very helpful and healing for your ancestors during this time. Because there was so much going on, I feel like your ancestors were almost, I'm getting like natural healers, or they understood like the power of the healing elements of earth. And I feel like they want you to get in touch with this now, because we are kind of experiencing a turbulent time right now. I feel like you have a very big heart, a very caring, kind, compassionate energy, and I feel like you get this from your ancestors as well. And I'm seeing 555 on the clock timer, if that's significant for you. I just keep seeing a lot of like nature. I'm seeing flowers now, like flowers blossoming. And I'm getting the message, I feel like your ancestors really want you to go with the flow, release worry. They're bringing through a message of whenever a flower blossoms, you know, even if we worry and we're thinking, you know, when will this flower open? When will this flower open? When will this flower open? We have no control when the flower blossoms. Yet when it does, it's just as beautiful, you know? And even if we worry, if we don't, the flower is still going to blossom. So your ancestors really want you to release worry. Release your almost like this kind of anxiety type energy of wanting to control an outcome is also the message that's coming through. Your ancestors are saying you are the light. They're also saying all is one and one is all. And when I think of this, I think of there's, if you've ever seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, there's a scene where the brothers are almost kind of fighting to survive on an island, and they don't want to kill a rabbit because they see the life in the rabbit, but ultimately they end up killing the rabbit and eating the rabbit because they see that they are both connected, and the rabbit gives them nourishment and gives them nutrition. And so it's like if you just kind of let yourself fall apart and die in nature, you know, nature will eat you ultimately. Your ancestors really want you to see the connection between all things and how you are the universe and the universe is you simultaneously. Everything is connected, and they're just saying you are the light. And I'm seeing 8:18 on the clock timer. We'll go ahead and put this over here for now. I really want to get into your tarot. So the first thing we're going to look at is how your ancestors play a role in your current life. Let's see. Spirit guides of love and light, please connect me to the ancestors of love and light. Pile number 1. I'm seeing your ancestors just dancing, almost like in a group around a fire. I feel like they have this very like fun, happy, almost they really love to celebrate type energy. So if you really like to celebrate, they're bringing that message through. Ancestors of pile number 1, how do you play a current role in pile 1's life? Okay, so we have the 3 of Wands, and we have the Queen of Pentacles coming out for how your ancestors play a role in your current life. And even like in this imagery, we see this person like sitting in a tree with these like flowers blossoming, and we see a fox in the back. I feel like your ancestors really do send you signs and synchronicities through nature, whether that's through animals or through certain plants or through like trees, flowers. I feel like your ancestors could be one of your guardian angels. They really love you and they really care for you. And with this like blue color here, I feel like your ancestors, I'm getting the message, I feel like they heal you in your sleep. That's really random, but I feel like when you're sleeping, I'm just seeing like this kind of blue light energy like floating around your aura whenever you're asleep. And I feel like this is your ancestors kind of taking away the day's troubles and the day's pain and really like healing you. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like your ancestors could encourage you to maybe spoil yourself, is kind of the message that's coming through with this. We see this person like eating ice cream, and I'm being drawn to like this little clip in their hair, and their hair's curled, you know, and they're almost in this like Candyland, candy cane type forest. I feel like your ancestors really encourage you to spoil yourself. They really want you to treat yourself. They really appreciate you and value you, and they want you to see the value that you have in yourself. So you could, I'm just seeing somebody like out, and maybe your ancestors like draw you towards certain things. So that could be like maybe a new rug or new candles or new essential oils or clothes or things like this, maybe like things to do with your hair or your outfit. And I feel like they were just like, buy this, look at this, this would make you look beautiful. I feel like they really just want to see you sparkle and shine, because they have this like admiration for you is what's coming through. Let me go ahead and get the next. A skill. We're going to look at a skill that you have from your ancestors. Spirit guides of love and light. Ancestors of love and light. What skill does pile number 1 have from you? Ancestors of pile 1. What skill does pile number 1 have from you? So we have the 2 of Swords, and it did come out in reverse. I feel like a skill that you have inherited from your ancestors is, I'm getting like a really strong intuition. I feel like you have a very strong sense of knowing what is right and what is wrong when it comes to your life. And I also feel like you have a really strong sense of knowing what needs to be put on the forefront and what needs to be put on the back burner, is what they're saying. Like how to balance things really is what's coming through with this Two of Swords in reverse. I feel like your ancestors were very good at balancing the everyday things of life, whether that's family, friends, school, work, passion projects, self-care. I feel like they really knew like what needed to be done and when, and I feel like this is a skill that you've inherited from your ancestors. I feel like people could maybe think like, oh, how does pile number one always have their ish together? And I feel like this is something that you've inherited from your ancestors, where you have this very strong intuition and you know, okay, now today I need to focus on self-care. Now today I'm focusing on my career. Now today I'm focusing on friendships. I'm focusing on connections. I'm focusing on family. You know, this very kind of grounded energy is coming through. I feel like this is something that you've inherited from your ancestors. Okay. I'm going to put this card right here. And we're gonna look at a trait that you have inherited from your ancestors. Ancestors of love and light. What trait has pile number one inherited from you? Okay, so we have the moon. I feel like your ancestors could have been very psychic. I just saw 1444 and 1441 on the clock timer. I feel like your ancestors were very in touch with the spirit world, with the unknown. And I feel like there could be messages in Frozen 2 for you, because I'm seeing that like symbol again, how it was like earth, fire, water, air, and then in the middle was spirit, was like the ether. So I feel like your ancestors were very connected to spirit. They were very connected to the unknown. I feel like some of your ancestors could have been mediums or psychics from young age. I feel like this is a trait that you've inherited from them as well. I feel like you could also be very in touch with the phases of the moon. And I feel like using of the phases of the moon would be very helpful for you. So during new moon, you know, that's a time of manifestation. Full moon is a time of release. I feel like this is something that your ancestors utilized. But with the moon here, I feel like you could be very psychic, and this is something that your ancestors were also. I'm also getting the message of there's multiple messages coming through. Telepathy is one of them. I feel like your ancestors were able to understand people's intentions, even if they weren't saying their intentions, or maybe there was a lot of illusion. I feel like your ancestors were able to read beyond the illusion, and this is something that you've inherited from them as well. And this, like, see how we have like the reflection here and then this like facade? I feel like your ancestors were able to like see beyond the facade. And I'm also getting the message, peeking beyond the veil. I feel like your ancestors were able to really get in touch and tap into spirit. And this is something that you've inherited from them as well. Very psychic, very psychic. Okay. Now we're going to look at an ancestral lesson that you carry. Ancestors of love and light. What is a lesson that pile number one carries? Oh, I feel like it's both of these. So we have 2 8s. Interesting, because 8 is like a number of abundance, a number of wealth, I'm also hearing. And then you had this card come out, how your ancestors play a role in your life. And it was like this message of like abundance as well. So I feel like your ancestors really want you to be abundant. I feel like they really celebrated the fruits of their labor is what's coming through. And I feel like this is something that you have in you as well. And your ancestors really want you to tap into this like celebration energy. But with these two cards coming through as a lesson, so this card, the Eight of Wands over here with these like lightning bugs almost being attached to this person, I'm getting a message of hope, of remaining optimistic even in the dark, because see how her eyes are closed here? I feel like she doesn't she's almost like in the dark. She doesn't know what's going on. I feel like a lesson that you're carrying is how to remain hopeful, how to remain optimistic, even when you can't see necessarily what's going on around you. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles over here. So I feel like another lesson that you carry from your ancestors is the value of hard work. You reap what you sow is also what they're saying. I feel like this is something you know, just because it's been passed down through you through lineage. If you want something, you have to work hard for it. And I'm almost getting like, I feel like the lesson that you carry is like, I feel like you're very in touch with the future. I feel like you can see the potential in people. You can see the potential in situations. I feel like you're a really big dreamer as well. I feel like this is something you get from your ancestors. And it's almost like, I feel like you're a very powerful manifester with both of these coming through, because with this card, it's almost like visionary. It's like something that your ancestors passed down to you was being a visionary, was being a dreamer, but also knowing the power and the value of putting in the work. And I'm getting the message from Princess and the Frog, like in the very beginning, her dad told her, she was like wishing on a star or something, and he told her that that was amazing, wonderful, beautiful to wish on a star, but you also have to put in the work. And so in the end, she did get her like booming business because she wished on a star and she held that vision and she put in the work every single day. And so she, in the end, was a very powerful manifester, and her dreams did come true. I feel like this is something that your ancestors knew as well. Like, we can wish on a star and we can dream, and that's beautiful and amazing. And we also will put in the work and we will get what we want. And your ancestors are also saying, I can and I will. Very strong-willed, very powerful. Very powerful. Okay. Now we're going to look at how you can deepen your connection to your ancestors. Ancestors of love and light, how can pile number one deepen their connection to you? Okay, so we have the Seven of Swords, and we have the King of Pentacles. So a lot of Pentacle energy. You could be a Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus. Those are just the energies here, but you don't have to be. But I'm getting this message. Protect your peace is what they're saying with this Seven of Swords. You have to fight for what you love. And remember the power of boundaries. I feel like you have a very strong intuition. You're very psychic. And this is something that you get from your ancestors. And so they're saying almost like when you have feelings about certain people in your life, or you're getting certain vibes, trust your gut, trust your intuition. And also, I feel like the message that's coming through, I feel like you are here to almost build a legacy or create prosperity. And I feel like your ancestors are saying how you can deepen your connection to them is by remembering them and what you create. And also they're saying, remember that one day you will be an ancestor as well. And so this message of like legacy is coming through. So I feel like you can connect through your ancestors through what you build here on earth. And remembering that you're creating, whatever you're creating for your future generations as well. And for the future generations of Earth. That's very powerful. And like with this imagery of this like bull coming out of this person's like dress, I feel like your ancestors are saying, we are with you at all times. You just have to tap and tune into us. So it's almost like they're saying you don't have to look too far in order to find us because we are within you. I'm also getting the message, your ancestors really, and I feel like this was kind of a theme, they really want you to stand out, they really want you to shine. And like in the beginning, they were saying you are a light. And so I feel like you can deepen your connection with your ancestors by sharing the light that is within you, that was within them, with the world, or with a community, or with those around you. And they're saying also, like with this Seven of Swords, don't worry about the naysayers. Don't worry about the haters. And I feel like you just exude this very powerful, very abundant energy that your ancestors also exuded. And so they kind of understand that with this, you know, I'm getting the message, you know, the sun is the brightest star in the sky and it casts the biggest shadow. So it's like the brightest light always casts the biggest shadow. But don't worry about the people, the things that crawl in the shadow that try to drag you down. They really just want you to be in your light and be in your power. And they want you to be just happy and free and fun, and they want you to just celebrate life as well. We're going to end, or we're going to get one last message from your ancestors, and then we're going to get your advice and guidance cards. Ancestors of love and light, what final message do you have for pile number 1? Final message do you have for pile number 1? Okay, so we have the Knight of Wands, and we have the Ten of Pentacles. So with the Ten of Pentacles, this card does talk about ancestry, building a legacy, but also it's interesting how it's like on this carousel, you know, you ride these things whenever you're a child. So it's like your ancestors, the final message that they have for you is they want you to remember them, they want you to connect with them, but they also want you to kind of remember your descendants is also what's coming through. Remember that one day you will be an ancestor as well. And so whatever you create and whatever you do on this earth in this lifetime now will eventually be something that your descendants look back and almost like admire you for. And your ancestors also want you to remember your passion, remember your why. I feel like you're a very caring, kind, compassionate soul, and I feel like they just want you to remember why you do the things that you do, especially if you're at a point in life where you do have a lot of naysayers or there are people who doubt you. Your ancestors don't want you to forget your passion. And they don't want you to forget the power of play as well, is what's coming through with both of these cards. I feel like you're very smart as well. Your ancestors really want you to remember to trust your intuition and follow your heart. Is kind of the last message that's coming through for you. And we're going to end with some advice and guidance from your ancestors. So I've already pre-shuffled. So the advice and guidance, we have abundance with number 7. So with this number 7, I feel like your ancestors really do have a lot of abundance that they want you to tap into internally through the spirit world, through the spirit realm, through the unseen. So I feel like tapping into this abundance within is really going to help you manifest this thing that you're creating. I feel like you are really meant to have a legacy. That was one of the messages that was coming through. But I feel like your spirits really want you to tap into your abundance within. And then we have water element sensing. So I feel like you already are very psychic. I feel like you could be a tarot reader, you could be a channeler, a medium, something like this. Also life coach is coming through as well. But I feel like the advice is to tap into the unseen world. And this message that kept coming through was trust your intuition. I feel like you're very tapped in, very connected to things that people can't see. And so your spirit guides, your ancestors really want you to trust what you can't see, is the message that they're saying. And then we have stars. Let's see if it'll focus. You can manifest your every wish. And number 5. I feel like your ancestors really want you to realize the power that you have, how powerful a manifester you are. This is something that you've inherited from them. I think it was something that we mentioned earlier, but it says you can manifest your every wish, and we had that message, I can and I will. And I feel like this is something that your ancestors really want you to remember. They don't want you to forget this like dreamer energy, but they also don't want you to forget that you have to put in the work as well. And with number 5, I feel like their advice is, they're saying like shift perspective. So I feel like if you are in a dark period or going through a dark time, your ancestors really want you to remember the power you hold and the power you have to shift your perspective and change your direction. I feel like I was saying, I feel like you're a very powerful manifester. And I feel like you can create your dreams here on Earth. And your ancestors really want you to remember the power that you hold. And then with this message, stars here, I feel like maybe looking at the stars, stargazing, I feel like could reignite certain passions within you. Maybe passions that you had whenever you were a child. And also like reading. I feel like connecting to knowledge is also what your ancestors, the advice and guidance from your ancestors is to connect to this knowledge that is inherent within you. And then we have confidence. It comes with time and practice. So that's also advice. And look, it's 23, which adds up to 5. So that message again of shifting, of changing your perspective. And then with this message of practice, your ancestors are also saying it's all about the journey, and you will find the answers when you go, where you go. In the present moment is what they're saying. Your ancestors really don't want you to project too far into the future, and they really want you to focus on the present moment. And then with this message of practice, they're also saying nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody really knows what they're doing. It's all about practice. It's all about showing up for yourself, continuing to show up for yourself, even if you feel scared. It comes with time and practice. So if there's something that you're wanting to create or something that you're trying to build, maybe this is a business or something like this, and you don't necessarily know all of the steps, your ancestors are saying take it one step at a time. And soon you will have a staircase, you know? And with this message of stars, I feel like you are a dreamer. I feel like there is something really big that you want to manifest, that you want to bring into this world. And your ancestors are saying you have to take it one step at a time until you have like almost a full staircase built. That's how everything is done, is what they're saying. I feel like this is something that your ancestors learned, or maybe they I'm seeing them look at you, and I feel like because you do have this dreamer energy, and you are a powerful manifester, I feel like sometimes patience could be something that you struggle with. And so they're saying everything is built step by step, and they're also saying Rome wasn't built in a day. And you have to remember time, patience, and practice. And then we have Whale and Orca Elders, share your song, frequency of sound, diving deep. And that was kind of something that I was mentioning in the beginning too, about this like song of nature. And I think we did have the whale come through in your, water scrying message. And so I feel like advice and guidance from your ancestors. One, we have share your song. So you were meant to be seen, you were meant to be heard, your voice is meant to be heard, is what your ancestors are saying. So even if you are afraid, your ancestors really want you to, they're saying embrace it and keep moving forward. They keep saying keep moving forward. So it's like, I feel like if you've ever seen Meet the Robinsons, that's kind of the message that's coming through. And it's interesting too, because in that movie, in the beginning, he's a child, but then he goes to the future and he sees everything that he's created, everything that he's built. And it almost gives him more inspiration. I feel like you're definitely meant to build a legacy, especially for future generations. And I feel like your ancestors really want you to connect with nature, connect with the healing sounds of nature, and share your song, your unique individual song. And they're also saying comparison kills creativity. Nobody can do it with your voice. Nobody can do it with your perspective. So it's like you're meant to share something unique to you. And then we also have new beginnings. The fairy godmother heralds the joyous news of a new baby or the birth of a cherished idea. Protect and nurture your ideas as you would a baby. So either you are having a baby or you've had a baby, or maybe there's like a new birth in the family. We just have this message of like descendants that keeps coming through. So like I was saying, you're meant to build a legacy, and your ancestors were saying earlier, remember that someday, not now, sometime in the future, you will be an ancestor. You will be one of us, and your descendants will be coming to you for guidance. So it's like right now you're in the learning phase, right now you're in the journey. So we can't necessarily see the outcome. But it's like your ancestors really want you to, and I'm pretty sure, we had the flamingo spirit come through, embrace the in-between. Really coming back to the present moment is going to be very helpful for you when it comes to manifesting, because everything unfolds in the present moment. And a lot of times we can only see lessons that we've learned when looking in hindsight, and we can only predict what's going to happen in the future. We can't know what's going to happen in the future, but we can create what we want in the present moment. And with this new beginnings, I feel like there is something that you're maybe have just started, or a journey that you're just now embarking on. Advice from your spirit guides is protect and nurture your ideas. So I'm almost seeing like a seedling or like a little sapling that's very small and very tiny, and whenever it's in its new phases, whether that's a tree or a plant, it's almost like it's in a greenhouse. It gets a certain amount of water, it gets a certain amount of light, it gets a certain amount of protection from the elements. You don't just put like a baby seedling out there in nature for it to grow, especially if it's super, super small and tiny. You really want to protect and nurture it. So the message that's coming through, if you are in the beginning stages of a manifestation, of a business, of a relationship, is also what they're saying. Don't feel like you have to share this with the world, because I feel like this is part of your mission. Part of what you're here to accomplish is to share it with the world, but in the beginning stages, especially whenever it's so new, your spirit guides, your ancestors really want you to protect your ideas, protect your dreams, and really just focus on nurturing it, because whenever something is in its beginning phases, They're saying it's easy for other people to kind of diss on it and tear it down, and maybe you aren't seeing in the physical world the success, the abundance that this business, that this relationship can have and hold, because it's in the beginning stages, and so it can be easy for other people to kind of persuade or influence you to go in certain directions. And one of the messages that came through with your ancestors was to trust your intuition. So I feel like your ancestors really want you to listen to your inner voice as opposed to what other people are saying around you right now. Really just trust your guts is what they're saying. And I feel really called to read this flamingo spirit out of the book for you. Number 26, that could be a significant number for you. So it says, embrace the in-between. Balance comes easily to flamingo spirit who sees what was and what will be, and stands strong in the face of uncertainty. You can be informed by what came before and plan for a future yet to be, but do not resist flamingo spirit's call to be fully present in the now, where the real magic happens, with one foot in the life you are moving away from, and one in the future as you become the one who leads the life of your highest intentions. You must make peace with the fact that you are not fully in either place. Embrace the in-between. The presence of flamingo spirit is also a sign that your creativity is arising within you and opportunities are beginning to present themselves. Remain here in a balanced state of mind, for there is much to know and learn before going forward with new plans. You can trust this moment and yourself as you take in what you see and become aware of all that you are experiencing in this in-between time. Wow, that was amazing. Powerful message. I feel like this is something that we all need to learn. You know, the present moment is the most powerful moment, the most magical moment. Everything happens in the now. You know, when you think about the past, you think about it in the now. When you dream about the future, you dream about it in the now. When the future comes, it comes in the now. And that's a very powerful message. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is also coming through. If you've never read that book, we had the message of books here as well. I feel like that could be a very powerful book for you to read, something that your ancestors are encouraging of you. But I feel like that's all I have for you, pile number 1. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, please give me a like. Please comment down below and let me know if this resonated with you. And if you feel called, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help my channel grow, and we would love to have you be a part of the Sailor family as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye. Hello, if you chose group number 2 or this deck, this is your reading. So if you skipped the intro, I would advise going back and watching the intro. That way you can see kind of the outline for what we're going to do for this reading, because we're going to get a lot of information. First, we're going to start with your scrying messages from your ancestors. So let's go ahead and get in. Guides of love and light, please connect me to the ancestors. Love and light. Pile number 2. So I feel like the ancestors that are coming through are those that were alive during a period, or during the period of Atlantis, is what is coming through. But they're also saying at a point in time when Atlantis was above water. So I feel like your ancestors could have been around during the time when Atlantis became submerged and Atlantis went underwater. I feel like they experienced this time. I feel like they were at a time of heightened technological advancement, is what's coming through. I feel like your ancestors are very intelligent. And I feel like they were very connected to science, but they were also very connected to magic. And so I feel like this is something that you could have maybe inherited from them, a love for science, a passion for science, but also a love for magic and a love for the occult is also what's coming through. I feel like your ancestors knew that both were connected and they were not different from one another. I feel like this is something that you know as well, maybe subconsciously. I feel like they did really have a love for technology, a passion for technology. And I'm seeing a heart. I feel like your ancestors love you. I feel like they could send you signs and synchronicities through technology. So whether that's maybe your phone going off in a certain way, and your ancestors just prompted me to turn on my sound on my phone. So I feel like they could send us signs and synchronicities through this reading, through maybe dings or messages through my phone. Or they could send that to you. Maybe you think of something and then a confirmation, you hear a ding. Or maybe you see like lights flickering in your home. Or maybe like the television doing weird things. I feel like this is your ancestors saying that, hey, we're around. We love you. They're also, I'm seeing like rock and like the dates. This is something that I learned about. I'm trying to remember what it's about. It's like the time record. The record of time through fossils. If this is making any sense, you know, like in rock, they're saying sedimentary rock, how you can see what events happen through certain periods of time. I feel like, are you a geologist? I feel like you could be really into crystals, really into rocks, really into fossils as well. Maybe as like a child you were very fascinated, interested in fossils. This is something that they're bringing through that you've inherited from them as well. I feel like your ancestors contributed to society in a really big way. I feel like they were architects, they were engineers, they were scientists, again, is what's coming through. A message is also coming through about twins. I don't know if you are a twin, or maybe you want to have twins, or maybe you're just really fascinated by the idea of twins. I just saw like a cell splitting in two. I feel like your ancestors are saying, again, it's like this duality. I feel like they really understood duality. And the message with twins is also coming through about how in a birth chart, they're just saying something about a birth chart and twins, one having, or both of them having completely polar opposite energies of each other. And now I'm seeing railroad tracks splitting off. I feel like your ancestors were alive at a very pivotal point in history where it was almost like the marking of like a split of some kind. And now I'm seeing two Earths. This is really interesting. I feel like you are very connected to spirit. I feel like maybe you've gotten this message. They're also saying Doreen virtue Is that her name? Not Doreen Virtue. What is her name? She was one of the first, like, hypnotherapists. Doreen something. She talks about this a lot, the splitting of Earth, or the splitting of timelines of Earth. I feel like you could be contributing in a very big way. I feel like you could be a thought leader, or somebody who, I feel like you could also be a trendsetter, or somebody who really brings certain ideas. And I feel like you're very good at shifting timelines is also what they're saying. I feel like this is something that your ancestors did a lot as well. Shifted timelines to better, higher vibrational timelines. And I feel like that could be maybe a reason why you've reincarnated with this ancestral line, because they were very good at bringing higher vibration onto lower frequency planes is what they're saying. And Earth is a very 3D, very dualistic plane. I feel like you are very good at bringing high vibrational down, and I feel like in your current life you could trigger a lot of people. I feel like this is something that your ancestors did. It's almost like you awaken people, is what they're saying. You show people light in darkness. I'm seeing 826 on the clock timer, so that could be a significant number for you. Or maybe you were born on August 26th, or that day is significant for you. And I'm feeling called to tell you about A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I feel like you are a part of souls who are here to bring higher vibrationals, who are here to shift the trajectory of Earth, is what they're saying. I feel like a lot of these ancestors, I feel like we're very connected to the stars, is also what's coming through. And like I was saying with those railroad tracks, it's like Earth is at a point in time where you can either go towards the dark or you could go towards the light, and I feel like you are pulling Earth towards the light just by your existence, just by you being here. Even if you aren't in some major field where you're maybe you're an environmentalist or something like this, but just your energy, just your essence, just you existing on Earth brings people into this lighthearted energy. You could be a cashier, and I just heard a ding on my phone again. You could be a server. You could be somebody who works in retail, not necessarily somebody who's out there making big changes or in like a higher field. Maybe you are working at like the baseline is what I'm seeing, like a server, a cashier, somebody who works in retail. Maybe you're a cook. Maybe you work in the restaurant industry. Maybe you work in fast food. Something like this. And I just heard ding again for confirmation. You are bringing this higher vibrational energy just by existing. Just by interacting with people. I feel like you really shift people's energy and change people's day. I feel like people could come to you with a maybe pessimistic energy, or they're in a bad mood, and I feel like you don't let this affect you. And because you don't let it affect you, people see this and they think, oh wow, this person's just really funny, I want to laugh, I want to have fun, I want to be in this joyful energy. Very interesting that this came through. We're going to go ahead and put your water over here, and we're going to go ahead and get into your tarot cards. That was, wow. You're very powerful. Your ancestors are very powerful. They had a lot of messages for you. But we're going to go ahead and get into your tarot. So we're going to ask how your ancestors play a role in your current life right now. Ancestors of love and light, how do you play a role currently in Pile 2's life? How do you play a role currently in Pile 2's life? So we had the Eight of Swords come out. I feel like you could be very connected to your ancestors. And I feel the message that's coming through is when you are in a dark time, because you are this light for people, you have to almost like remain at this higher vibration, this higher frequency. But because we are in a human body, it's easy for us to kind of have this like roller coaster where we dip down really low. And I just heard the ding again for confirmation. When you're in that really low period, I feel like your ancestors are the guiding light for you. How you are that guiding light to others, they are that guiding light to you. And I feel like they almost show you ways out, show you how to embrace your own freedom, show you how to free yourself. Because they're saying you're very powerful. You're very powerful. But sometimes it's easy for life to get us down and for life to be hard on us. And the Sagittarius energy is also coming through. I feel like when you're in these dark periods, your ancestors may come through in songs, poems, maybe movies, inspiration. I feel like they are this kind of light of inspiration for you, and they help you reclaim your power when you're in these dark times. We're going to go ahead and keep going. We're going to look at a skill that you have from your ancestors. Ancestors of love and light. What is a skill that pile number 2 has from you? What is a skill that pile number 2 has from you? So I feel like this card as well. We have the World and we have Death. So this like ending and beginning is what's coming through. I feel like I was saying, shifting onto new timelines was a message that was coming through. This is something that your ancestors did, and I feel like you have the power to do this as well. And I'm seeing like right here with this person like crying, I feel like a skill that you have is in your times of darkness, in your darkest hour, is what they're saying. You have the power to become stronger from this. I feel like you're a very quick learner, and this is something that a skill that you've gained from your ancestors. You're very smart, you're very intelligent, and you catch on to things very quickly. And we have the fixed signs here, so that's Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus. So you could be one of those energies. But I feel like even though you have this fixed energy, you learn lessons very quickly. I feel like you could be stubborn, but I feel like even your own stubbornness doesn't get in your way when it comes to transformation, when it comes to change, when it comes to shifting your perspective. I feel like this is a skill that you have from your ancestors. They were able to see the light in all situations. They were able to see the beauty in the dark, is what they're saying. And this is something that a skill that you've also inherited and learned from your ancestors, where you know the power of transformation. And I'm just seeing like two energies, an ending and a new beginning. And I feel like you understand the power of both, and you understand that an ending is only a new beginning. So even if you do experience tower moments, I feel like a skill that you have from your ancestors is being able to quickly shift and not maybe dwell or resist those tower moments, but learn from them and become stronger because of them. I feel like traveling is also coming through with this World card. I feel like you could learn a lot from other cultures. And this is a skill that you've inherited from your ancestors. Very open-minded is also coming through. And this is something that you've inherited from your ancestors as well. Okay. Now we're going to look at a trait that you have from your ancestors. Ancestors of love and light. What is a trait that pile number 2 has from you? What is a trait that pile number 2 has from you? Okay, so we got 3 cards that came out. The first one that flipped over was the Queen of Swords. So like I was saying, this like very intelligent energy. Your ancestors were very smart and knowledgeable, and this is something that you've also inherited from them. And with this like bird here, and we have the queen, so this is also about intuition and the mind. I feel like a trait that you've inherited from them is being able to balance your head and your heart. And I feel like you have a very clear perception when it comes to people, when it comes to people's intentions. And this is something you've inherited from them. And also, I feel like you could at times be very blunt. And I feel like you're not afraid to call things out the way you see it. This is something you've inherited from your ancestors as well. Put that right there. And we have the Knight of Wands and the Four of Wands. Trait that you've inherited from your ancestors. So with the Four of Wands here, I'm seeing this like fairy up top, but I'm also seeing this like building being built. So I feel like I was saying in the beginning, I feel like you know how to balance magic and science. I feel like you're very balanced in your energy, and this is something that you've inherited from your ancestors, where you don't necessarily dismiss one thing, because I feel like your ancestors, something that you've inherited from them is you know that two truths coexist within everything, especially in this like duality that we live in. I feel like something you've inherited from your ancestors is being able to balance energies and bring balance to situations. And then with this Knight of Wands over here, I feel like you could be very passionate. You could be a very passionate, driven person. And this is a trait that you've inherited from your ancestors as well, where you're not afraid to go out there and make your dreams come true and make things happen and call people out and shift energies. I feel like you're very powerful. Your ancestors were very powerful, and this is a trait that you've inherited from them as well. This like inner power, and I'm just seeing like a light within somebody that shines out and radiates out into the world. I feel like you could have very balanced masculine and feminine energy within you as well. I feel like this is a trait you've inherited from your ancestors as well. But just very passionate. I feel like you could be very creative. And this is something that you've inherited from your ancestors as well. I feel like you see the beauty in things. Did I mention a trendsetter? I feel like you could be a trendsetter as well. I'm just seeing like children, and maybe you do certain things one way, and a lot of people like copy you. And I feel like in childhood this could have bothered you, and you'd have been like, why are you copying me? But I feel like this is something that you're learning throughout your life, that you just are that person. You are that person who is so creative in their energy that other people see that and are like, oh wow, I want to do what pile number 2 is doing. I want to draw like that. I want to dress like that. I want to speak like that. I want to sound like that. You have this very like powerful masculine energy is also what's coming through. Very strong in yourself. I feel like this is something you've inherited from your ancestors as well. A very powerful solar plexus chakra is what's coming through. Very strong in your essence, very strong in your energy. Okay, now we're going to look at an ancestral lesson that you carry. Ancestors of love and light. What is an ancestral lesson that pile number 2 carries? Okay, so we have the 8 of Wands, or the 8 of Cups in reverse coming out. It did come out in reverse. A lesson that you carry. I feel like you have a very caring, compassionate energy, and I feel like sometimes this could be a fault, where you care so much about other people that you don't want to detach, and I feel like You could maybe at times give your power away to other people. Like I was saying, I feel like you're very powerful, but I feel like in certain situations, I feel like you have such a big heart. It's easy for people to pull on your heartstrings and kind of manipulate. And that's something that I feel like you're learning. The energy of freedom, how to free yourself. I feel like you could maybe be on a path of enlightenment is also what's coming through, a lesson that you're learning, what enlightenment actually means. That's coming through. I feel like this is something that your ancestors were on, is almost like a path of enlightenment. But I'm not seeing, this is kind of very Aquarius energy that's coming through. I'm not seeing like a conventional path of enlightenment where you become a nun or you become a monk and you live in a monastery and you're isolated from the world. It's almost like a lesson that you're learning is how to become enlightened within the world and how to remain pure of heart and pure of mind, while also remaining open-minded. I feel like this pile could be the people to try a lot of things. I feel like your curiosity knows no bounds. And this is a lesson that you've carried from your ancestors. Very curious energy. You want to discover things, and this is something that your ancestors also did. But they're also saying, know when to detach. So it's like, know when you've gone too far down the rabbit hole. Know when certain things that you're looking into are harming you, is what they're saying. This is a lesson that you carry. Because you have this very curious energy, you have to be very protective over your energy because a lot of things can flow through you. And so that's kind of why I was picking up maybe this like darker energy that you can sometimes find yourself in. But your ancestors are there to protect you. You are protected and you are divinely guided. So even if you do find yourself going too far down the rabbit hole, your ancestors will always be there to shine a light for you. I feel like you could get messages from your ancestors through epiphanies or through insights, creative ideas, creative inspiration. Okay. And now we're going to look at how you can deepen your connection with your ancestors. Ancestors of love and light. How can pile number 2 deepen their connection with you? How can pile number 2? So we have the Page of Swords in reverse, and we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. I feel like you can deepen your connection with them by grounding your energy in nature. Really grounding, I feel like, would be very helpful for this pile. Connecting with the energy of trees, connecting with the energy of earth. I feel like you can deepen your connection with them through the earth. And not giving your power or your energy away to outside sources as well. Really trusting your own intuition. I'll put this right here. And then we'll put these right here. Really trusting your own self and trusting your own power over others. This is how you can deepen your connection with them as well. Really trusting the messages that they give you from them is what they're saying. And like I was saying, not giving your power away, not feeling like you have to fight every single battle, not feeling like you have to always stand up for yourself, is what they're saying. Let things go and let things flow. Detach. Okay. Now we're going to get a message from your ancestors. So we started with a message and now we're going to end with a message from the tarot. Ancestors of love and light. Can we please get a message from you for pile number 2? A message for pile number 2, please. One more card. Ancestors of love and light. Oh, okay. Final message from your ancestors. We have the Tower and the Ten of Wands. So they're saying the last final message is the burdens of the world are not yours to carry. And they're also saying your state of consciousness is the most important thing. Like I was saying with A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, I feel like that would be a very helpful book for you to read. But I feel like because you have this kind of helper energy, you're very smart, you're very intelligent. Focusing on your own energy is what's gonna be very helpful for you, and not giving your power away, not giving all of your energy away, and not feeling like other people's burdens are yours to carry. You know, everybody has challenges in life. You go through challenges, other people go through challenges, and they're saying it's not your responsibility to worry about other people's worries, is what they're saying. And then with the Tower here, they're saying a message from your ancestors is to trust in the divine. Trust where you're being led. Trust that everything is working out exactly as it's supposed to be. Even if we can't see what's happening or why it's happening, your ancestors are saying, trust that everything is happening for a reason. I feel like your ancestors want you to focus on self-care. They want you to focus on self-love, self-empowerment, really building yourself up, because when you do, that energy that you create radiates out onto others, and they see when you're in your power, it's almost empowering to other people. Even if you, like I was saying, even if you don't say anything, even if you aren't a leader in that way where you tell people, this is what I've done, this is what you need to do, just by doing it and just by being in your own energy and focusing on your own state of consciousness is empowering and helpful to other people as well. And this, I feel like, is a very big message of trust. Your ancestors say, you can trust us. Trust the universe, trust us, trust yourself. Trust where you're being led is also a message from your ancestors as well. So we're going to go ahead and end with some advice and guidance. So we have Earth element stability. To me, this is a message of grounding. The advice from your ancestors is to really practice grounding techniques. This could be focusing on your own energy in your body, focusing on your feet connecting to the ground, maybe doing like grounding meditations where you really focus on the energy of your root chakra, or connecting with trees. And then we have Aquarius. I know, this is funny because I was picking up Aquarius energy with this pile. Advice and guidance. I feel like a message of friendship is really coming through with this. I feel like your ancestors really want you to reach out to the people you love, friends you love, and just experience this like lighthearted energy with those people. Also, technology is coming through. I feel like your ancestors want you to go on a social media detox, or maybe not spend as much time consuming. I feel like you have, like I was saying, this very passionate energy. You have this very creative energy, and your ancestors want you to utilize that. They're saying, if you've ever heard the 80-20 rule, where it's like 80% of what you do is what you create and 20% is what you consume. And this was also kind of a message not giving your power away to other people. They're saying comparison kills creativity. So don't compare yourself too much to what you see on social media, because what you're seeing on social media is the highlights of other people's lives. You know, you're not seeing the darkness, the struggles that they go through. And then we have Flower. Be honest with yourself. And again, like Flower, this energy of grounding, I feel like is coming through. I feel like journaling could be very helpful for you. Really tapping into your own intuition. And really focusing on what you want. What you think. What you know to be true. Because I'm just seeing like this very open energy. I feel like it can be very easy to influence you. And your ancestors really want you to focus on grounding your energy. I feel like grounding meditation could be very helpful for you as well. And then we have Protest, start a revolution. Wow, that's interesting. I want to read this card out of the book actually. So I want to see exactly what your ancestors, the advice your ancestors are trying to say. Hearing the song Revolution by the Beatles. You say you want a revolution, well, you know. We all want to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution, well, you know. Maybe looking into that song or listening to that song. So this says, you've been looking around and noticing that the world is often unjust, but you're not sure what to do about it. Like Katniss, you need to be the first spark of your own revolution. Educate yourself, stand up for yourself, don't forget to stand up for others, whether or not you have shared experiences. If you can speak up and do so safely, then do it. With this message coming through and like this message of technology, I feel like you are supposed to have a platform, or your ancestors are encouraging you to get on a platform, whether that's YouTube, whether that's TikTok, whether that's Instagram, some kind of platform. I feel like your ancestors are really encouraging you to be on there and sharing your voice and sharing what you've learned. And I'm also getting the message of community with this Aquarius. So I feel like you are meant to have a community. You are meant to make a community. If this is something that you've been thinking about, this is confirmation for you. And your ancestors are really saying they see you in this energy of wanting to start a community. So they're really encouraging you to take the first steps in building this, if this is something that you've been thinking about doing. So let's see what else we have. We have Spirit has a plan, number 35. So we have 38, 23, so that's 5, 28, a lot of 2s, a lot of 3s, and a lot of 5s. 17, which adds up to 8, so 2, 3, 5, and 8. Spirit has a plan. With this card and with this koala spirit, I feel like you could tend to maybe get in this very fast-moving energy. Your ancestors really want you to slow down. Slow down a little bit. Really come into the present moment and trust the direction you're being led. So I'm hearing grant yourself permission to do the things that you've been wanting to do, but also remember to have submission. So even though you're going after what you're doing, you can't control how other people react, you can't control how other people respond, and Spirit is putting the people that need to be in your reality. It just takes divine timing, is what they're saying. And it also takes you having to trust that everything is working out, and that Spirit, the universe, your ancestors are putting everything into play for you. So they want you to take action while simultaneously submitting to whatever the outcome is going to be, and not feeling like you have to control the outcome. Because at the end of the day, we really can't control what happens. We can only control what we create, how we respond to things. And then we have nature signs, a lot of messages about Earth. So I feel like your ancestors really could send you signs and synchronicities through nature. It says, be receptive to the subtle messages from nature as you go about your day. Nature talks to us continually. We need only open our hearts and our minds. So I feel like you could tend to get stuck in your head a lot, or you could be very connected to spirit, receive a lot of insights and downloads from spirit, and your spirit guides really want you to start meditating in nature, is what they're saying. And your ancestors also really want you to really connect to nature. So I'm seeing somebody listening to the sounds of nature and just really like going out and really being present with what they hear, what they see, what they smell, how the earth feels on their feet. Really grounding your energy into the present moment in nature is what your spirit guides are advising as well. And trust the messages that you're receiving from nature. And maybe even looking them up, like if you see like raccoons, or if you see birds, a certain type of bird, looking it up and seeing what that bird means. What messages are your ancestors trying to give you, and really just like decoding those messages. And then your final advice, you guys actually got 3 Starseed cards. So this makes me feel like you're very connected to the stars. You may have had a past life as a star being, and you may resonate with being a starseed, or your ancestors were starseeds, is also the message that I got. So we have Child of the Cosmos. The intelligence of the universe lies within you. So your ancestors are saying, again, you don't have to go outside yourself to find information. Be honest with yourself. How do you feel about certain things? Really getting into meditation, really quieting the mind, and listening to what your heart has to say. And your ancestors are also saying, if you want to know what your heart has to say, you have to quiet the mind first. And so going into meditation and really listening, asking a question, if you're wondering about a certain thing, or you want to know what your heart has to say, get into a place of stillness and then ask the question, and the answer that comes through is the message from your heart. And your ancestors are saying, you have so much power and energy within you. You have everything you ever need to know. And then the message of the present moment is also coming through, coming back into the present moment, slowing down and really focusing on this present moment. And you will find the answer, because all answers lie within you. And then we have karmic relationship, Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, conflict. And it's interesting that we have this imagery of the 2 earths again, almost like splitting. I feel like with this message coming through, karmic relationship, I feel like your ancestors are asking you to maybe do shadow work, or look at certain doubts that you have within yourself, or certain triggers that you see within other people. They're saying, if you want to know your shadow traits, what are things that other people do that you don't like? Because everything exists within us. And again, with this child of the cosmos, everything exists within us. So the things that you admire in other people, those are your light qualities. And the things that you don't like in other people, the things that you find frustrating or annoying, or why would somebody do that, those traits also exist within you. Those are just your shadow aspects. And your spirit guides, I feel like during this life, you're going to go through a lot of evolution, and you're going to grow a lot. And your ancestors are here for you, and they're trying to guide you through maybe triggers or through these tower moments. Your ancestors are there with you, and they are guiding you. And I feel like you could learn a lot of lessons through conflict And so this is why your ancestors have this card coming out as your advice and guidance, soul growth through conflict. So not trying to resist what's going on, and your ancestors saying what you resist will persist. So really getting in touch with whatever you're resisting and surrendering to it. And then we have, I'm sorry, defenselessness, riding past wrongs, and uprooting. And again, we have this imagery of these people's like root chakras being lit up, connecting to the earth. Again, I feel like your ancestors really want you to connect to the earth. I'm seeing 1219, 1220, 1221 on the clock timer. So those numbers could be significant for you as well. But I want to read this card actually out of the book and see what it says. So advice and guidance from your ancestors. We're living in divisive times. When we're hurt and triggered, we tend to see things as a personal attack rather than an opportunity for healing. If we're to find true peace and unity, we need to drop our defenses and see things outside of right and wrong. As souls, we intrinsically remember unity and yearn for it here on earth. Perhaps this is why it feels so painful when we experience the opposite. But it's crucial to remember that we can't simply bypass reality and pretend that unity, love, and forgiveness are here. This is one of the greatest challenges for starseeds. To bring about unity, we must first acknowledge the ways in which both we and the world have been divisive, personally, ancestrally, and collectively. The shadows, hate, wounds, separation, severings, wrongs, and sadness. You may be called to explore how you, your ancestors, or your society have consciously or unconsciously inflicted pain on others, to find a way to drop the armor around your heart and see things as they truly are for all people. To say, I'm sorry, with an open heart and mean it. To be part of the healing rather than the perpetuation of inherited conflict or oppression. This isn't about blame, it's about unwinding the pattern that got us here. You may be called to devote your time to causes you believe in or do healing work on your ancestral line. And then the inquiry, how are you being called to drop your defenses and unwind past wrongs? And I feel like you could be an advocate for change. You could be an advocate for people who don't have a voice. It says right here, you may be called to devote your time to causes you believe in or do healing work on your ancestral line. And that was also advice that you got here with this start a revolution. I feel like you are here to shift Earth's timeline. And that's why I feel like you were incarnated at this very turbulent, at this very chaotic point in time. Doing shadow work, I feel like will be very helpful for you, very healing for you as well. And I feel, like I was saying, I feel like your ancestors really are encouraging you to have a platform to share your voice and to share things that you know to be true and to create a sense of community. But I feel like this is all I have for you, pile number 2. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, please give me a like. Please comment down below and let me know if this resonated with you. And if you feel called, please subscribe to my channel. It really does help my channel grow, and we would love to have you be a part of the Sailor family as well. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye! Hello! If you chose this pile number 3, or if you were drawn to this deck, this is your reading. So we're going to look at messages from your ancestors. If you skipped the intro, you might want to go ahead and re-watch that. That way you can see kind of the outline for what we're doing today. But we're going to go ahead and start with your scrying message. I just saw 23 on the clock timer, so that could be a significant number for you. I feel like this message could, or this group could be very connected to numerology, is a message that just came through. Ancestors of love and light. Please get some messages. So already right off the bat, your ancestors are coming through as being very wise souls. I feel like majority of your ancestors could have been teachers, very high vibrational light beings. I'm also seeing that most of them could have been light workers as well, but they have this very like regal type energy. I feel like they could have been maybe counselors or wise men or teachers for certain people in charge. And I'm just seeing these like really long cloaks. I feel like your ancestors were very wise. They had a lot of knowledge, and I feel like their knowledge and wisdom was given to certain people in power. I'm seeing like somebody who's on like a high council, if that makes sense. And I'm seeing like the message of threes is coming through. So Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Mother, Maiden, Crone. All good things come in threes, is what they're saying. Maybe you have like 2 siblings, or there's 3 children in your family. That message is coming through. I'm also seeing past, present, future. I'm seeing a lot of like patterns and symbols. I feel like your ancestors could give you messages through patterns or symbols, or maybe like I'm seeing somebody like draw certain patterns in the sand, or maybe they just like draw certain symbols. I feel like this could be light language. I feel like your ancestors were very connected to light language or light activation codes. I feel like you have also inherited this trait where maybe you can speak light language, or maybe you can write in light language. And I did see waves crashing against a rock. I don't know if that message is very specific for only a few of you. I'm also getting the message of fireflies could be very significant. Your ancestors could send you insects, so like fireflies, bees, wasps, dragonflies, things like that, just to kind of let you know that they're around and they're protecting you and they're with you. Are you guys very connected to your ancestry, to your lineage? Do you know like what your ancestors did or what they do? I feel like there's some sort of like tradition that was passed down in your family line that maybe you also partake in, or maybe your parents partook in. I'm seeing the specific message of fire keepers is coming through. So I think it was like in the older days before like matches and things like that, there were people who were specifically made to keep fires alive. And so they would keep the embers alive, and it was almost like a family tradition of fire keeping is what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing the image of a well. I feel like you guys could be really good at water scrying as well. I feel like you're very connected to this ancient wisdom through your ancestors. Your ancestors had this knowledge, this wisdom, almost like this code within their DNA that they've passed on to you of knowing and understanding light language. That keeps coming through, light language and the fire. I'm also seeing people dance around a fire. So maybe you resonate with being a witch, or your ancestors maybe were witches as well. And I keep being drawn back to Scotland, Ireland. Maybe you have family lineage there, if that resonates. I'm just seeing a lot of greenery and a lot of like hills. And your ancestors are saying, the hills are alive. So maybe there's messages in the sound of music for you. Or maybe, I feel like this could also be a message that maybe your ancestors fled to America during the time of World War II. That's also a message that's coming through. I feel like your ancestors were very important people in history. I feel like your ancestors were wise men, counselors, teachers, people who held certain wisdom and certain knowledge that was very valuable. And your ancestors are saying knowledge is power. So I feel like this is something you know as well. I'm also getting the message, I feel like your ancestors in times of war were ones who were targeted in certain ways because they had this access to wisdom and this access to knowledge. I see people like fleeing in a state of emergency. I'm also seeing a crescent moon, like the witch's moon. I feel like this could be a very powerful time when you're manifesting things. I feel like your ancestors I feel like they could have been astrologers as well. And I feel like they were very in touch with the cycles of the moon, the cycles of nature, especially the moon though and the stars. I feel like you're a witch, pile number 3. Maybe you practice. I feel like your family also has lineage of being witches. I feel like your ancestors were very powerful and very smart, and I'm seeing a point in your lineage where you could have been travelers. Maybe like gypsies is the message that's coming through. You still have this wisdom and knowledge, but I feel like you only shared it with certain people. After this, I feel like there was a point. I'm just seeing like a huge time frame, like in the beginning, your ancestors were wise men, councilmen, teachers, and then as the lineage went down the line, it's like you fled and you didn't want to be involved with this like higher system. And so your ancestors still wanted to provide knowledge and wisdom, but it was like it's like they were more in service of the people as opposed to like kings or queens or lords. And so that's why I'm getting this like gypsy energy. I feel like they were very connected to the occult. I feel like you could be very connected to the occult as well. I'm seeing a 4-leaf clover. I feel like your ancestors just wanted to be happy. And I feel like they were really, the word revered is coming through for their knowledge. But as time went on, I feel like there may have been a point in history where your ancestors were being used for their knowledge and wisdom. And they didn't like that feeling. They wanted to be free. Your ancestors are saying you are a star. I'm seeing like a horse running through a pasture. So I feel like you have this almost like freedom, this embodiment of freedom that your ancestors had. You still have this wisdom and this knowledge, but I feel like your ancestors just kept saying we want to be free. So I feel like your ancestors may have been on a path of enlightenment. I'm also hearing the word alchemy. I feel like you could have had alchemists in your family lineage, or your ancestors could have been alchemists. But I'm hearing alchemist of the soul, transmuting darkness into light. Very powerful pile. Your ancestors are very powerful. They're very wise, and they're teachers. I feel like your ancestors could show you, maybe like you flip through a book and it's just what you needed to hear. I feel like you could be very good at divination. As I was saying in the beginning with water scrying, I feel like it's in your lineage is almost what's coming through. Your ancestors were very good at connecting to spirit through divination. So that could be using tarot cards, oracle cards, runes, bones, water scrying, reading the clouds, messages from birds. Very wise, very, very wise. And like I was saying earlier, I feel like your ancestors were like, I'm almost seeing like a town of people who come to this like one psychic. That's how powerful your ancestors were. They were very psychic, very strongly connected to spirit. But I'm almost getting the message, I feel like it may have gotten to a point in your lineage where your ancestors felt like they were being used. Not necessarily used, but like they wanted to find value within themselves, not in what they could give to people, but in freedom. And giving when they felt like giving, not necessarily when people were coming to them. They wanted to be they were very smart about their energy. Very powerful. I'm going to go ahead and put this up here. We're going to go ahead and get into your tarot cards. I'm really curious to see what comes through. I do feel like your ancestors were part of some sort of high council. Okay. So the first question we're going to ask is how your ancestors play a role in your current life. Ancestors of love and light. How do you play a role in pile 3's current life? Oh. So we have the Lovers, the 4 of Autumn, and the 9 of Spring. Let's see if you can see those. It'll focus. So we have the Gazelle, the Squirrel, and the Flamingo. How do pile 3's ancestors play a role? I feel like your ancestors kind of bring balance to your life in a way with this Lovers here. And this 9 of Spring, this like gazelle, down here it says, annoying challenges may pop up, but don't worry, you'll get through them just as you have in the past. It's almost like, I feel like your ancestors could really come in and maybe put obstacles in your path to bring balance to your life. Your ancestors are very powerful. They love you very much. And I feel like they do what is of your highest good. So I'm seeing the message with the Lovers here. I feel like maybe there was a relationship in your past that was karmic in nature that ended very quickly. And maybe when the breakup happened, you thought, why is this happening to me? This person was my person. And come to find out, this person was cheating on you. But you figured that out after you broke up. It's like your ancestors were, it's like they put certain things in your path to put you on the right path, is what I'm seeing. And this card says, be cautious about living a life of extremes or seeing things in black and white terms. I feel like they bring a sense of balance into your life. I feel like they're very powerful. And if you're going in a certain direction, like I'm seeing somebody leaning too far to the left, your ancestors may, I'm just seeing like when you bowl, like you can get the little like blockers on the gutters. I'm seeing your ancestors like keeping you on this path. Like if you go too far to the left, it's like your ancestors come in and it's like you're the bowling ball and you can't pass their barrier. And so then you start going to the right a little bit and then they're again on that side and you can't pass that barrier. It's like your ancestors bring this like sense of balance in your life. Very protected. I feel like your ancestors could be your guardian angels as well. This card, this flamingo says, true and long-lasting love finds its way into your life. Follow your heart with caring actions and choices. So I feel like your ancestors really do. I'm just seeing like a grandmother hold a baby. I feel like they have so much love and compassion for you, and they want you to live your desire. They want you to live your dreams. And they also are protecting you as well in the same sense. They're very protective over you. I feel like I feel like they recognize how powerful you are as well. I'm just seeing like, I feel like you could maybe like want certain things and it could kind of butt heads maybe with your ancestor. And they're like, no, you can't do that. Like, that's not good for you. And I'm seeing like maybe you do it anyway and you do learn the lesson. You're a very quick learner as well. And so I feel like you maybe learn lessons really fast. And so I feel like your ancestors really want you to trust them. This message of there is always enough is coming through with this Four of Autumn as well. It's almost like I'm seeing somebody like in the Hunger Games whenever they send in the medicine bags. I feel like that's your ancestors. Like in the moment of need, when you need them the most, they're like, okay, we're here, we got you. I'm also seeing, I feel like they could heal you in your sleep as well. And I'm just seeing like, maybe you connect with them in your sleep. Maybe you've had dreams of your ancestors coming to you. I feel like this is confirmation if you have. Or maybe like you see like elders in your dreams. I feel like you could get messages from them through your dreams. Okay. Now we're going to look at a skill you have from your ancestors. Ancestors of pile number 3. What is a skill that pile 3 inherited from you? Oh, we'll take this top one. So we have 6 of spring. And then on the bottom here, it says, you may receive a promotion, be chosen for a scholarship, or find that you're singled out for special recognition. You've done an amazing job and you deserve all of the attention. And I just saw 2020 on the clock timer. So a trait that you've inherited, or a skill that you've inherited from your ancestors, is knowing when to give up and when to keep going. I feel like you have this very like ambitious energy, this very like goal-driven type energy. And I feel like this is a skill you've inherited from your ancestors of knowing when to keep going this very, like, I feel like you could be a very good motivational speaker. I feel like your ancestors are kind of like motivational speakers for you. And the skill you've learned is how to build yourself up. And I feel like I'm just seeing somebody just like looking in the mirror and telling themselves, I've got this. I've got this. Or maybe you could like read certain things and hear certain motivational messages along your journey. I feel like your ancestors send you messages saying, you've got this. I feel like you could be a hard worker as well. This is a skill that you've learned from that you've inherited from your ancestors, of being very hardworking. And your ancestors are saying practice makes perfect. So I feel like your ancestors really knew the power of practice. And even though maybe you were born with being very connected to spirit or very intrigued or interested by the occult, I feel like if you are a tarot reader or a channeler, or maybe you use divination, your ancestors are saying that they're saying to keep practicing, keep going. You've got this. Okay. Now we're going to look at a trait that you've inherited from your ancestors. Ancestors of love and light. What is a trait that pile 3 has inherited from you? What is a trait? Okay. We have the Emperor and the Deer Mouse. It says, structure and organization are important right now. Don't be afraid to take on a leadership role, as you have much wisdom to offer. And then this deer mouse, it's interesting because when we think about the mouse, we don't really see the mouse as being a leader. You know, we see like a lion or a bear or these like sharks or like very like powerhouse animals. And it's interesting that it came through as the mouse as one of your traits. So I'm feeling like you have this like inherent leadership quality that other people can sense in you, and they may put you like on pedestals, or people may follow you and be like, pile number 3 knows what they're doing, so I'm going to do what pile number 3 is doing. And I feel like it's almost like it's a trait that you've inherited from your ancestors. I feel like you have a very strong solar plexus chakra. The energy of Virgo is coming through as well with these like stockpiling images. I feel like you could be very organized. And as I was saying, like goal-oriented, I feel like you kind of, the reason you are able to accomplish things is because how organized you are about it, and because you take it one step at a time. You have this like emperor king energy that you've inherited from your ancestors. And your ancestors are also saying wise ones. So I feel like maybe you resonate with being an old soul or a wise soul. Your ancestors are definitely coming through as the wise ones. And a trait that you've inherited from them is being able to, it's like you have this leadership over yourself, this autonomy, this self-empowerment that other people recognize, and it's like they see that and they want to know how to get that, how to be that, so they follow you, and they put you almost unknowingly on a pedestal. And this is something that you've inherited from your ancestors. Okay, now we're going to look at an ancestral lesson that you carry. Ancestors of love and light, what is a lesson that pile number 3 carries? So we have the dreamer. You are starting a new adventure. Run free and take a leap of faith. And this is kind of what I was picking up whenever I was looking in the water, was I feel like your ancestors may have learned this lesson of freedom, of true freedom. And I'm seeing like freedom within, because I feel like in a certain part of your ancestry, they were on a council of wise men for certain leaders, kings, emperors, lords, people in power, and so I don't think they necessarily had the means to just kind of go off and wander on their own. They had to find this freedom within. And I feel like the further it got down your lineage, I'm just seeing like your ancestors becoming gypsies. I still feel like they had this very wise energy about them, and we just heard like the ding for confirmation. They had this wise energy about them, but they learned the power of play and the power of having fun and the power of remaining free in your own energy. And I feel like this is a lesson that you carry as well. And especially with this Emperor coming through as one of your traits, I feel like you could naturally be put in leadership roles, leadership positions. But lesson, I feel like something that you learn over and over again is the power of being free. You know, I feel like you are a natural born leader, and this is something you've inherited from your ancestors, but I don't feel like this is something that you necessarily want in your life. I feel like it could be a calling, and we have this like angel here as well. I feel like you're very protected. I honestly feel like your ancestors are very connected to the angelic realm as well. And I feel like they could be your guardian angels. Let's see, I just want to show you this, because we have this angel like in the background. I feel like your ancestors could send you signs through butterflies. And was I saying insects in this group? Insects like butterflies, fireflies, moths, things like that. But I feel like something that you learned, that your ancestors also learned, was the power of play, the power of being free, taking a leap of faith into the unknown. Okay, now we're going to look at how you can deepen your connection. Ancestors of love and light, how can pile number 3 deepen their connection? I had 3 cards come out. I don't feel like these are your cards. How can pile number 3 deepen their connection? So we have the 8 of Winter. This is the 8 of Swords. It says, it's so easy to convince yourself that you're trapped when you really aren't. Trust that God will lift you to new heights and give you greater self-confidence if you affirm your freedom. Again, that message with the freedom here. Connecting to your freedom will help you connect to your ancestors. I feel like in this lifetime, if you've been called to travel, if you've had a dream to see the world and travel and go out there and experience new things, I feel like this could also be connected with your ancestors. This is something that I feel like your ancestors wanted. And I feel like it's because they were put in certain positions where they were like regarded, revered, is that a word? Where they were like seen as larger than life. And so it's like they were almost put in a cage, and so they learned the value of becoming free from within. And I feel like that's something you learn as well, how to become free within. But I feel like your ancestors really want you to get out there and travel. And also with this message, I'm getting you can deepen your connection to your ancestors by getting out of your head. I feel like your ancestors are always around you. They send you signs constantly, and I feel like sometimes you could overlook these signs because you may be kind of stuck in your thoughts, really thinking about things and overanalyzing and analyzing. And in order to connect with your ancestors, you just have to free yourself. And your ancestors are saying, you hold the key. You get to choose if you are free. You get to choose if you're caged in. You get to choose if you lose or win. I feel like they could also send you signs through birds as well. You have a very powerful energy, and I feel like a lot of people see this within you. I feel like sometimes you may not even recognize this within yourself. And that's kind of what your ancestors are saying. You have this power. You just have to recognize it. Everybody else already recognizes it. And I'm also hearing you can deepen your connection to them by getting in touch with nature, by silencing your mind, silencing your thoughts, and really just coming back to the present moment. Focusing on the stillness within a room is also what they're saying. Okay, and then we're going to end with one last piece, and I just flipped this over. We have the firefly here again with the number 9. So that's just confirmation. Ancestors of love and light, can we please get one last message for pile number 3, please? What would you like to say to pile number 3, please? So we have the 6 of autumn. And also, like, I feel like your ancestors send you signs in every single way that they can. With this feather and this coin here, I'm seeing you could see coins on the ground, feathers on the ground, insects, birds, nature, really anything nature related. I feel like you have guardian angels at your side at all times. You're very protected. So this says, your success and prosperity have allowed you to pay off debts, acquire wise loans, or receive a grant or scholarship. In return for heaven's blessings, be sure to share the wealth with others through donations of time or money to reputable charities. So I feel like you're meant to share your gifts. I feel like you're meant to share your wisdom, the things you've learned, the traits you've inherited. I feel like there's a reason people put you on a pedestal. There's a reason people put you in leadership roles, but I feel like you could maybe have self-doubt, or maybe you don't think that you're good enough for these positions. I feel like your ancestors really want you to release this lack or this doubt and really trust that you are meant to share what you have. You are meant to share what you know. You are meant to share what you have learned, is what they're saying. And then what was on the back of the deck? We have the Empress. So it says, time to hop into action. Use your natural creativity to bring forth prosperity and success in your life. That's powerful. So a message from your ancestors is they want you to experience this abundance that they know that you can have. I feel like you have a very hard work ethic. You're very determined. You're very motivated. And I feel like your ancestors really want you to start putting that energy into your passions, into your projects. I feel like you could be a natural healer, somebody who has a lot of wisdom that would be very beneficial to the collective. And I feel like your ancestors really want you to be generous of spirit and put out what you have within you. They're saying you're a well of knowledge. You are a well of knowledge, and I feel like advice or a message from your ancestors is that I'm hearing them say they will always be there when you need support, but don't underestimate your own power. And they're saying you are part of us, and I feel like your ancestors knew how powerful they were, and they want you to recognize this within yourself. Okay, now we're going to end with some advice and guidance. So I've already pre-shuffled your cards. Let's see. So this says thorns. Weave together the crown you deserve. You deserve. I feel like your ancestors know how powerful you are. And then we have number 5 here. So it's like, I feel like your ancestors want you to shift your perspective and see your worth and recognize your worth and know your power. I feel like affirmations would be very helpful for you. They want you to shift your perspective. I feel like your ancestors are always going to be there to help you, but they want you to realize that you are part of them. Everything that they've created in their life, you have the ability to create as well. And then we have Taurus. I have number 14 again. So 14 or the number 5 could be very significant for you. And I feel like your ancestors want you to experience the finer things in life. They want you to treat yourself, whether that's with nice clothes, nice food. And the message is also coming through of success So I feel like your ancestors are saying if there's anything in your immediate reality that doesn't bring you a feeling of success, they want you to get rid of it. They want you to clear the clutter. And so for example, if you have socks with holes in them, they want you to throw those socks away and maybe buy yourself some new socks. Or if you have clothes that have holes in them, throw those clothes away and buy yourself new clothes. You know, if you have a rug that's in your living room that's stained, maybe throw that rug away and buy a new rug. And you don't have to buy the new rug immediately, but just clearing out the clutter, getting rid of anything that doesn't give you this feeling of abundance, that doesn't give you this feeling of success. And then we have second house, which is funny because the second house is ruled by Taurus. So we also have this Venusian energy coming through. I feel like you could be very physically attractive and your ancestors are acknowledging this. But you just have, like we have the Empress here, which is also Venusian energy. So your ancestors really want you to be abundant and be in this abundant energy. And I'm getting the message, focusing on the abundance within will reflect the abundance in your outside circumstances, in your outside reality. So maybe doing abundance meditations, affirmations, repeating to yourself, I am worthy, I am good just the way I am perfect just the way I am. Your ancestors lift you up, but they also want you to lift yourself up as well. They want you to claim your power. And then we have music. Listen carefully, for there may be a message in the music you hear. Music can lift your soul, rekindle memories, and charm fairies to your door. So I feel like your ancestors do connect with you through music, and they give you advice and guidance through the music that you hear. But also, I feel like your ancestors really want you to acknowledge the type of music you're listening to, because I feel like you're very powerful. I feel like you could be a channeler as well. I feel like you have such an open energy. If you are listening to lower vibrational music, I feel like it can affect you negatively. And so your ancestors really want you to focus on the music that you're listening to. And really listen and understand what the messages are. And then we have nature signs. Be receptive to the subtle messages from nature as you go about your day. Nature talks to us continually. We need only open our hearts and minds. So your ancestors are saying that you do receive signs through nature. And I feel like your ancestors really want you to focus on the messages that you're getting, because I feel like they do send you a lot of messages through music, like I was saying, through music, through coins, through feathers, through insects, through birds, anything in nature really. And I feel like they want you to kind of decipher these messages. So maybe if you keep seeing a type of bird, look up what that bird means. I feel like they're really saying, once you do that, I feel like once you learn something, you hold on to that wisdom. And so then you're able to share what you know with other people. And then we have act as if, chameleon spirit. Number 14 again. Wow. Like I was saying, your ancestors are powerful. 14, 14, 14. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. I'm shocked. Like, that's crazy. Like I was saying, your ancestors are powerful as heck. So powerful. They want you to be abundant. They want you to have faith in yourself. They want you to see your worth. I feel like you could manifest a lot of abundance very quickly in your lifetime. They're also saying you were meant to be seen, you were meant to be heard. And with this like act as if, I'm also getting the message Confidence takes time and practice. And so if there's a platform or something that you're wanting to create, your ancestors are saying go out there and create it, even if it doesn't feel right. Even if it feels like you're scared or you don't know if what you're saying is right, your ancestors will bring you messages in the present moment, and they will give you exactly what you need to say. And you can trust your intuition. You can trust your higher self as well. Act as if. And I'm also getting the message, the law of attraction, with this card as well. Act as if what you desire is already yours. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier with the abundance message, you know? In order to see abundance in your outer world, it first starts within. You have to feel the abundance within, and then it will be reflected without. And your ancestors are saying, as above, so below. As within, so without. And so I feel like this message of coming back to yourself is really, really strong. They want you to focus on your own state of consciousness and not necessarily worry so much about what's going on in the outer circumstances, because I feel like that will change when your inner world changes. And then we have portal. Doors are opening, you decide. Rewards and wild card. Doors are opening. I feel like you could be going through some kind of new beginning. Or you are bringing in this new beginning. You're bringing in this abundance, whether you realize it or not. That's powerful. And then we have the cosmic heart. Let's see if it'll focus. Devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. Wow. And we just have this very I don't know what this is called, that chrome type effect. I feel like that's what I'm seeing in both of these cards, is very metallic type shine. I feel like you have a higher purpose, you have a higher calling, and I feel like your ancestors may already know this. I feel like you know this as well. There's something that you want to do. There's something that you're meant to do, that you've been called to do, and your ancestors want you to commit yourself fully. Make your life a moving prayer. I'm getting the message of coming back to the present moment, finding stillness within, finding a peace and a harmony within. But I want to read these. I want to read both of them out of the book, actually, because I'm interested to see what they say. So portal says, doors are opening, you decide. Rewards wild card. Doors are opening for you. Your thoughts are extra powerful for you right now. Planets are aligning. The timing is right. The universe is saying yes. So if there's something that you've been wanting to do, your ancestors are saying now is the time to do it. Take a leap of faith. Right now is the time. It says you have the Midas touch. Your hard work is being rewarded. This is a time when you can reap the rewards for your efforts made in the past. It's also a time when you can achieve a lot. Great leaps can be made. Extreme transformation can occur. Great distances can be traveled in a short space of time. Let's see if that'll focus. You're swimming with the cosmic current of life. What experience would you like to have? What do you want to create? What new adventure would you like to manifest? Don't lose focus. Use this moment in time wisely. Be conscious and clear with your emotions and thinking. Projects that you've been working on are coming to fruition. Things are in full bloom. It's time to take your harvest and taste your well-earned fruits. When this card comes up in a spread, it's a sure sign that effortless change is possible. If you've been looking for a sign, this is your portal into the new reality. Now is the time to make your big changes. If you've been guided to switch things up, you're extremely well supported right now. Use this energy and jump right in. And then the inquiry, what would you most like to experience? That's powerful. Your ancestors want you to have your dreams come true. And I feel like your dreams will come true. You just have to make them come true. And you're so powerful. I feel like you can make it happen. You just have to take the leap of faith. And then we have the cosmic heart. When you surrender to a state of devotion, you find yourself flowing with all of life. You're being called to refocus your attention deep within to the intelligence of your own heart, to bow with deep reverence to your inner temple, to live your life in devotion to this place, to make your life one big moving prayer. Perhaps you felt a bit off kilter lately, sensing that the potency of why you're doing things has gotten a little watered down or weak. Perhaps you've forgotten what made you start doing them in the first place. If so, this is your call to take a moment and reconnect with the truth at the very center of your heart, to get back to the essence of what you're about, to devote your life to what you care most about, to turn your gaze deep, 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 deep. There are seasons for harvesting and seasons for sowing. Right now, you're being called to plant your soul seeds and sing to them with deep devotion, to feed them with the sweet waters of your own soul. To lose yourself in the potency of what is the most, to lose yourself in the potency of what it is that most expands your heart. To live your life according to what makes you come alive, rather than what everyone else thinks. To make your life one big moving prayer. How can you make your life a moving prayer? And again, we have that message of deep, 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 deep. I feel like your ancestors really want you to go within and really want you to find this place of harmony, this place of peace within. Because once you find it within, you can create it and cultivate it without. Whatever that is for you, whether that's freedom, if you want to experience financial freedom, feel the freedom within. Feel what it feels like to have $100,000 in your bank account. And you can easily manifest it. You're very powerful. And again, we had that message of music. I feel like music can help you manifest as well. And your ancestors are saying that as well. So maybe like listening to certain money songs, or I'm getting the Princess and the Frog soundtrack for some reason. I feel like listening and singing songs that bring you joy and being in this energy of joy almost like puts you in alignment to what you want to manifest. But I feel like that's all I'm seeing for you, pile number 3. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, please give me a like. Please comment down below and let me know if this resonated. And if you feel called, please subscribe to my channel. It really does help my channel grow. And we would love to have you be a part of the Sailor family as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Almost forgot. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye.